Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Devin Thomas back with another episode of Unscripted. Welcome back. Welcome back to the show. It's been nice. It's been a good past couple days. I've been just settling into the new house. As you know, I've moved, if you've been following along with the show. And I think we've been here just about a month. In about this next week, we'll be here about a month. And honestly, just time, even at this house, it feels like it's going in such a different pace. I feel like time has felt much longer here. Each day has a lot of value, if that makes sense. It's not like, oh, it's been another month. It feels like, wow, I can't believe it's been a month. It feels like it's been longer. So maybe that's just something different that I've been noticing about it. But yeah, the month has gone by. July has been a beautiful month. It's been really fun. Most of it was spent moving. It's funny to think, like, I think 4th of July was the day we physically moved our furniture here, right? And excuse me, to be here now and it just that doesn't even feel it feels like a fever dream, the whole idea of moving. It just felt like it all happened so fast and it's just a blur. But that moment feels so far away from like now and like I don't know, I feel like I've been very present. I've really gotten back to like I can feel my new routine like forming here. A lot of things I was missing during the move, I feel like are starting to take shape. I'll get into it, but we've been taking some really nice walks out on the trails here near Fort Ord and just, enjoying the pace of life here. It's a lot different. Like town is it's not a slight at town, but like living in the city is so it's city living, quite frankly. And then living out here in the countryside, it's its own thing. And I kind of beat this horse on the last few episodes where I talk about like, oh, like city versus countryside. But for me personally, I've done this transition a few times. I moved to Los Angeles. I've moved back here to Monterey County. I fucking have lived in like the city of Monterey County, like Salinas area, and then moved back out to the countryside. So this time around, I think it's safe to say I know what type of person I am. I'm definitely more of like I enjoy the countryside, which is funny because we were just down in Woodland Hills. It's before I went to Europe. I'm trying to think what month, maybe November. It was like 80 degrees in November in Woodland Hills. Absolutely fucking beautiful. And we really explored like Topanga Canyon, Malibu, the Palisades, places that in past voyages to LA had not really explored as extensively. Like I'd driven through them, but like never to the extent where I was like, let's check out this neighborhood and that neighborhood. And even being in that setting, it felt so much more comfortable than living, let's just say, in like Hollywood. Like I used to live off Argyle and fucking Franklin. So I was dead center in the middle of Hollywood. I've done it. I've lived in the heat of the fucking city and it's a whole experience. It's not even like it's a bad thing. I'm talking about it, retrospectively. Would I do that type of living situation again? Maybe not in that location. In the city would be fine. It would have to be a little higher standard of living, in my opinion, at this point. And it's just because I've grown comfortable with certain things. And it's like you can always go the humble route and live without certain things. But the older you get, the more you're like, well, that I value more than maybe being like as close to this. Or like having this might be more valuable than like certain peace of mind. Let's just say that. Like out here, like I'm never worried about the car. I'm never worried about anything. It's not even like I was worried about that in town, but like when you go from living in this environment and then going into town, like, I mean, there's people out. Stevie said it best. You walk into public as soon as you walk out your front door. And that's absolutely true. The sidewalk's public. And like here, it's gated. It's nice. It's safe. You feel a sense of like high public trust in this area. Like you're not going to walk out to some ruckus in the middle of the night or whatever here. So that being said, the transition into this house has been like pretty seamless. I mean, honestly, the biggest blunder we've had so far was this appliance issue. And I talked about it last week, but when we moved in, we ordered all the fucking appliances. All of them came in the wrong size. So we had to send them back. So we've literally been living here for almost a month with like one fridge in the garage, no laundry, no fridge in the kitchen, no trash compactor, no dishwasher. So your boy's a little tired of washing dishes by hand, I'll be honest, but it's all coming, I think, this week. So like once that's here, that's like the final piece of the puzzle. And then everything else takes place, And believe me, I fucking want these laundry machines. It'll be nice not having to drive and do fucking towels and all that stuff. And I'm a little bit of a neat freak, so I like to keep things like tidy. And that's been a little bit of a bummer. Haven't been able to do what I want to do. But anyways, the new house is great. I've really fucking love it. Settling in has been great. We've been having a lot of people over. We've been entertaining like fucking crazy, despite not even having all of our boxes on like emptied and shit. Like the garage is still a bit of a mess, but it's been fun. It's been fun having people over. Trying to think of who I had over. I think I talked about it last week. I told you rodeo weekend had Anthony, Mark, Elizabeth, Marco. God, who else? I feel like more people came. But anyways, I digress. This past week, I had my cousin Christian come through with his wife and his kids, Hank and Marie. It was really cool. Uh, they loved the place too. It was funny actually. His wife came in and said like, the only house I've been here to visit is so and so, the former owner's name. And it was just so funny because I was like, holy shit! Like the one time she visited this neighborhood was to the house that we bought, which I thought was just serendipitous. And it's always cool when you have those little like, you know, the universe kind of connecting moments. But yeah, they loved it. It was funny too. When my cousin was here, we showed him the place. We went down to the pool. Everybody wants to see the pool. Like, oh, how far is it? So we walked down, and while we're there, like the HOA, we had this guy Cliff, and then I can't remember the other guy's name. And then one of my old teachers from like I believe Montessori. She either ran it or something. Apparently she's from South Africa. I didn't know that, but she had an accent. I wasn't sure what it was. But anyways, we were down there, and she recognized my cousin, my brother, and I right away. She's like, "Oh, Stevie, Christian, Devin." And we're like, "Oh, hi." I think her name was Aubrey or Audrey. I want to say Aubrey, but been a while since I'd seen her, clearly, preschool. And anyways, it was really cool. She was super nice, and it was good timing because we came down there and we'd been drinking a little bit. It was kind of funny. We were like, "Oh, like, hey, let's go check it out." And these guys, Cliff and the other guy, they were moving a what do you call it? A fucking like filing cabinet. It was all the HOA records, and this motherfucker was huge. For some 75-year-old guys, by the way, these guys are like old American. They're built fucking tough. They're built to last, like a good old appliance or a good old car. They're like fucking classics. They're meant to last forever. And I was just fucking like, one, my cousin told me he like broke his foot. And then it'd only been a few weeks. I'm like, bro, like you broke your foot 3 weeks ago. And like a gentleman, he was like, hey, like we will help you move this shit. And he was just telling me like 10 minutes before that his foot was fucked up. And then we go down there and he is a beast. This guy's an animal. He literally is like, well, let's do it. And he was like the first one to lift this fucking giant. They had a dolly, like one of those dollies, the little 4-wheel ones with the 2 fucking planks of wood. And it barely fit on there, but he's like, yo, like, let's get it. He got it up on there and we helped him move it. And it was just a great bonding moment on that note with these guys. Cause like, we're the young guys in the neighborhood. It was just so funny to see how they, you know, their humor's classic. They really fucking appreciated us helping. They could have done it themselves. These guys were like I said, they're fucking strong men. But we ended up having like a good conversation with them. And then like this guy ended up knowing people we knew. And it was just a great, like, it's just such a small town as it is, but it's just so funny to like have that moment with them, especially because we were just kind of casually going down there to check out the fucking pool. And we ended up having, like I said, like this good, I felt like I was a part of the neighborhood after we had this fucking moment. So anyways, I digress. That was cool. I remember what I did. So my cousin came over on Friday, and then the next day I went over to my buddy Dominic's house and I saw one of my other relatives, Stu, and then I saw Marco again, and Stevie was there. So like we just kind of hung out at my buddy's house out in the back of like Laurel's grade, and it was nice after like a full fucking week of like moving, entertaining. Finally going to somebody else's house and like not having to be the host. It was a fucking relief. So that was great. And we hung out there for a few hours, got to talk with everybody, and it was a good hang. I needed to just slow down for a minute and relax. I had a fucking beer, chilled. Talked to Marco for a bit. Marco was actually telling me about this book called Lonesome Dove. I got to read it. I haven't read it. I actually hadn't even heard about it. Maybe you guys have heard about it, Lonesome Dove, but I'm going to read this book. I think it's a Western from what I read in the synopsis, but yeah, I talked a lot about books. It was good to just talk about shit that I want to talk about, like, reading and fucking writing and movies and shit. It's always nice to slow down and just have that time to not, like, when you're entertaining, like, I also had my grandma over this past weekend. Yeah, so I had a lot going on. Like, when she was here, I just cooked the whole time. I feel like I talked to her and cooked, and then she was gone by the time it was over. So, anyways, I feel like the honeymoon period on the house is not over, but it's slowing down to the point where I finally have time to, like, start focusing on other shit, which, aside from, like, all the entertaining and partying this past week, I pretty much just hung out at the house. I watched Backrooms like 100 times this past week since I saw it initially. Stevie and I, like, dude, we loved Michael. We thought it was a fucking 10 out of 10. But I think Backrooms, I mean, Obsession was great. I'm not even trying to compare. But if I had to pick a movie that I've watched recently that has just like got repeat value, real auteur vibes, and I think might be like the next classic. It's a fucking Backrooms. Like if you haven't seen it, I can't say enough good about it. I did talk about it more in depth last week, but this idea is so good, and it's just like a onion. You just keep peeling back layers and layers and layers, and you just think about the movie. I've never talked about a movie so much, at least not in recent history. So that's something else I did quite a bit. I know it sounds indulgent, but I've probably seen Backrooms at least like 20 or 30 times by now. And that's a compliment to the film and also to just like there's something like a hit's a hit, and this movie has clearly got the hit element and it's drawn us back many times. And you just keep thinking about it, you keep putting together different pieces of it. Like I said, I can't say enough good about it. I really fucking loved this movie. What else did I do this week? I actually skipping ahead, before we had everybody over this past weekend, we had Christine's birthday. And Stevie and I went out. We went and I went out with my mom. We picked up some stuff for her. Uh, Particularly went to this bakery. I think it's La Plaza Bakery, but we got this. We get it every year for her. It's this Tres Leches cake, and it's stupid good. Um, and we picked up the cake, came home. But when I was coming home, so this is the thing. It's Christine's birthday. Went and got her cake, got some other stuff. We come home and like I see like a car in my driveway. I'm like, who the fuck is this? I thought it was like somebody from Facebook Marketplace coming to pick something up, right? And I call my brother to help like unload shit. I'm like, hey, like what's going on? And he answers the phone and it's literally fucking this guy's like, hey, like this is Chris Cerney, news reporter. And I'm just like, this sounds exactly like Chris Cerney. I was like, there's no fucking way it's this guy. Dude, I didn't put it together. It was him. He was there to meet Stevie for some like yes, hang out, and I forgot. I didn't know he was coming over. And it was just such a shock, but it was good to see him. I am sure if you are a person in the 831 or Monterey area, Salinas area, you've seen Chris Cerney's updates, and it was just so funny because I wasn't expecting it, and it's just like, I knew Chris from the Lighthouse days, and some filmmaking stuff, and it was just so funny to see him at my house with like unexpected, and he also like trolled me hard on the phone, like I was not expecting it. But anyways, it was good. I guess he'd been there for a minute, and then like I showed up, and like the conversation went on. I mean, had a great time talking to him, just hearing about like his success too with the I guess I'd call it reporting, journalism, independent journalism. But he started doing this a couple months ago. There's a whole nother bag of drama I won't get into with like Lighthouse Cinema and stuff where he used to work and all that. But in the recent months, he was trying to find something to do, and then he ended up kind of finding his niche with this independent journalism, and it's just super cool. And like seeing him now after, having seen his success with this, the reporting, it was just really cool. And it was fun to talk to him and hear about what he's up to. He's going to be working on, I think, some other stuff. I won't disclose what he's working on. He's going to be doing some like documentary stuff though. But yeah, it's exciting. It's definitely good. It's good to see a familiar face, especially because the past year, you've heard if you followed the show, Stevie's health problems really put a damper on like, not just like making another movie, not even a damper. It was just like, there's nothing you can do when you have health problems, right? So he, and we've talked about it, he was not at capacity to do what we wanted to do. I wasn't really going out that much. We were moving. We've been dealing with so much fucking shit. To see a familiar face that I don't see usually, it was refreshing, and it was good to catch up. Chris, if you're listening, it was great to talk to you, man. Hopefully, we can get you on here sometime. We talked about doing a pod. I think it'd be really fun. Also, like, you know, the thing is like now that I'm settled in, I told Stevie this too. Like, we're gonna start having more people on the show, including Stevie, Christine, whoever wants to be on it. But just to shoot the shit, I think that makes the show more interesting. I love doing the solo rant. Don't get me wrong, but having people on and being able to discuss other ideas, it's always fun. That was one thing I didn't get to do with Mark and Anthony when they're here last time either. Is like really like get a pod in, which we wanted to do. But anyways, we'll have Chris on here. And if you are trying to be on the podcast, just reach out to me. I've definitely had people that want to be on, and like with the past year, it was like hit or a miss. So if you did reach out to me again, and we'll definitely fucking set something up. Uh, Sorry, I'm using my phone for notes again. I still haven't had the printer set up, and I hate the phone because I feel like it's like you're having a conversation with somebody like, uh-huh. That's how I feel right now. I mean, if you're listening, you can't see it, but I'm like, eyes are darting down to the phone. Pool house drama. Yeah, this is another one of my bullet points. So, look, I'm not a Karen. I'm definitely not the neighborhood police, but like the pool, we went down there the other night, and maybe I talked about this last week, but we had the place to ourselves like every night. And I'm not like in a like selfish way or an entitled way. We're just like, this is fucking sweet. Like I think a lot of people are older in this neighborhood and they've had their fun at the pool. Let's just say that. So we're sitting there and it's my dad, my brother and I, and like this group just comes into the pool and we're like, who the fuck are these people? It's like a not that even old of a lady, like maybe like a 50s like lady. And then like she brought like 8 kids and like it was an eclectic gang of people, let's say that. And they just were, like, diving and cannonballing. They just took over the pool. They also were eating and, like, fucking left food everywhere. We're not even supposed to eat down there, and, like, I just held my tongue. Like, I also had all my shit on a table, and, like, I swear to God, we're not turning into Larry David, but we have a lot of these Curb Your Enthusiasm moments in our life, but, like, all of my shit, like, I had my keys, like, all my shit right in the middle of the table, and there's, like, 8 other tables to pick from. This lady comes and puts all of her shit down, like, right next to my shit, like, where it would be, like, you might take my shit on accident. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I was like, yo, it's a little too close for comfort, right? So I fucking I had my feet in the hot tub because I was really waiting for the sauna to heat up. I'm like, you know what? I'm not trying to tub. It was a little cold out. My brother and my dad are in there though, and I like look over and I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything, even though I think this looks suspect. 8 o'clock at night, you're bringing like 8 kids down to the pool in a geriatric neighborhood. Like I've been told I'm the youngest person here. All right, so got a feeling she didn't have proper access. Let's just say that. I go up and I grab my stuff and I talk to her for a moment and she's like, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm doing well. How are you doing?" Just, I'm like, she's like, "Oh, that's, I'm good." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just enjoying the hot tub." Right. We have a moment, we talk, and like, I could just tell by the way she was talking. I'm like, "You seem more uncomfortable than me." And I just fucking moved here. All good. Give her the benefit of the doubt. Right. She also mentioned like she had been there all day because she drove like a white Tesla with like these little red dots on her rim, like very distinct. And I was like, yeah, I noticed. Like, I've been waiting to come to the pool like all fucking day, and now you've showed up again. It's all good. Like I said, it's a community pool. It's shared amongst the people in the HOA. And anyways, it became a thing. The whole weekend, this lady is there. Finally, we go down. It's empty. Go to turn on the hot tub jets, right? It's broken. And there's like fucking food and popsicles melted around. And my brother and I are like, dude, like, I hate to be that guy, but like we gotta give a ring to the HOA. Like they left it a mess, move the furniture, like all the shit that you were like, you look the other way and you're like, I get it, just some lady trying to entertain these kids. But like did it, it's whatever. We ended up calling the lady who did like the pool committee, right? I can't even believe I'm dealing with these problems, honestly, even telling the story. But the lady of the pool committee said, like, hey, like I actually have a 19-year-old daughter, and she went down there and she said the same shit. Like these kids were out of control. Like it's an 8-foot pool in the deep end. Like the other end's 3.5. Like kids diving into like the shallow end. Somebody's gonna break their fucking neck or their face, and like a lot of issues. I know I'm turning into an old man just telling the story, but anyway, she said, no, no, no. She's like, my daughter went down there too and said, she's like, it was out of control. She's like, she turned around. She was going down there to hot tub herself and was like, yeah, I don't think so. Like with this pool party going on all weekend long. Of course, ever since the fucking hot tub jet thing has been broken, they haven't been here, you know? And the lady even told us, she's like, look, like it's my job to police the fucking pool. If you see something, say something, just text me, say like white Tesla, I'll go down right away and be the bad guy. And we're like, all right, cool. But I'm glad to know we weren't crazy, one. And two, like, here's the other thing I didn't mention. That white Tesla did never parked in the neighborhood. It just left. It went through the gate and then it just left. And we're like, all right, like clearly you got a fucking extra key or you know somebody, but like straight up, like it's for people that fucking live here. And we even talked to the HOA president. He's like, yeah, he's like, it's a problem. Like, not a problem, but he said it's like nobody wants that. So that is my HOA drama of the week. Stevie and I have even joked, like, it's just like you're nitpicking at some shit in life, but it's also like, damn, like 8 o'clock at night, it's been a long day. Like, I don't know if I want like a fucking 7-year-old splashing cannonballs while I'm trying to sauna and decompress. And, you know, it is what it is. It's just hilarious. Like some of the shit we go through. What else do we do? Got in good with the HOA, met a lot of the neighbors. One of the neighbors too, there's one last thing about neighbors. This guy that lives next door to us lives in Sedona part-time. And he has got this fucking construction crew working on his house. And like, dude, for the past week, this is a small gripe because it'll be over soon. They're building a deck. But like these contractors get here in the morning. I can hear them fucking laughing, drinking their coffee. I'm like, dude, it's like 7. Like, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to fucking sleep in here. Doesn't bother me that much though, but I have my window open. So like they're right there. I can just hear them fucking like 200 feet away, like cackling. They're like, ha, ha, ha. I'm like, dude, I can't be the only one that's fucking being woken up. It's like a rooster fucking doing a rooster shit in the morning. Anyways, and then like, dude, they're just drilling and sawing boards on the other side. So like, my bedroom's towards the front, Christina's TV towards the back, and I can hear this shit. I can only imagine. It must sound like fucking, a construction site, quite literally going on. But anyways, that's been the only other thing that's been funny. Not funny, but kind of annoying. But our neighbor came over and kind of told us he's going to do it. And then I'm like, buddy, like when you get back from Sedona, you're in for a rude awakening. We're doing the roof. So, I think possibly too, he thought the house like was for sale. He didn't think like, I think strategy wise, he thought it'd be good to do it now than later. But I don't know, it's still annoying as fuck. I mean, I've done construction for like a long time. Our other house, I think we did like 8 or 9 months. So, I guess you get what you give, right? I mean, I guess it's our turn to be the fucking people being annoyed. And I just didn't live at my house while it was being like remodeled. And yeah, the neighbors must have hated it all day long, I bet. Just fucking noise, banging and saws. What else did I do? So we went to a garage sale this weekend. There was this huge garage sale on River Road, multi-neighborhood, like everybody was doing it. And I wasn't even trying to go, to be honest. Christine called and she's like, hey, you guys should come to this garage sale. It's pretty good. So we went and like saw some books immediately that Christina picked out. And then Stevie and I were like, kind of like, oh, split up. We'll go check out the shit. And 2 seconds later, I saw a box filled with like Disney VHS. And the lady saw me looking at it. She's like, $10 for the whole box. And there was like 2 or 3 boxes. The other box was mostly CDs and DVDs. And I saw a third box. It had some like cool VHS, but I wasn't like, not the shit that I was like dying to get. Anyways, I digress. I saw this Disney box. I'm like, I'll be right back. I went and got a 20, broke it down, $10, and got this like huge stash. I'm talking like some classics, Toy Story. And like, honestly, these things, like I opened it up, like the sticker had barely ever been used. The coupon from whatever year, 1995, whenever this VHS came out, was still in there. So I was like, whoever bought these must have had like grandkids or something. The lady was older that had the house. And I think she said it was her brother. But, I wouldn't even say like she didn't know what she had. She didn't care. She literally told us like, you can make these into Frisbees. I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know if you know, but like VHS is kind of making like a collectible comeback. But regardless, what's funny is I got these VHS tapes and I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, what a great come up. I'm putting the bin in my car and she's like, hey, 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 my bin. And I was like, oh, like the plastic bin? I'm like, I had a moving box in my truck. I'm like, no problem. You want the bin? I'll bring it back. But like, it was just funny. She valued the bin more than VHS tapes. And like, I guess one man's trash is another man's treasure. But man, I feel like I hit the jackpot. And I might go back. She had a Gone with the Wind VHS, but I don't even know why I didn't buy it. I think it's because in the box there was like 5 VHS tapes and there's a bunch of other shit. And I saw like the Treasure of the Sierra Madre and some other stuff. And they're very, very classic movies. But I think my fucking eyes were just on the Disney shows. Like, dope, And like, I'm not like I love classic Disney shit. Disney's, fine. Like, I'm not like a Disney nut, but like, I told Dominic after I got it, because I went to his house right after. I'm like, bro, like for $10, I just hit like a fucking great stash of like, probably a couple $100 worth of fucking VHS tapes. And he's like, I can't fucking believe that. So that was great. It was really cool to go to a garage sale and find something cool. And then Stevie also found these vintage ashtrays there. They had like one that was like, I think it might have been a Playboy magazine fucking ashtray. It was orange, very 60s. You could tell like they had a lot of 60s and 70s shit. She also had some incredible glass, like these bowls that were like $200 a pop. They were nuts. I think they're called Fire and Ice, but Fire and Light rather. Just I'd never seen bowls like this. It's just for like fucking eating ice cream or cereal out of it. This is fucking incredible. But the other ashtray that I got is this Stardust like casino ashtray, and they're these thin ashtrays that like you would see on like a fucking slot machine or something or at a casino table, and they're very sexy looking if I had to put it anyways in it or anyway. And it's just interesting. They just don't make shit like that anymore. The thin glass, really nice ashtray. It'd be great for, like cigarettes or doobs, and very cool. Very cool. So that was a nice little come up. And then I think we bought some wine glasses. We got some interesting shit. The lady was like, we got there late. So she's like, hey, I'm like closing down. So whatever you want, grab. And I was like, all right. So we bought some shit. And she said, if you really are serious about anything else, just like come knock on the door. So you never know. I'm still thinking about that VHS. And right now talking about it, I'm kind of like, what's another $10? So anyways, on the film front and the creative side, there's been a lot of like, push and pull with ideas and just trying to figure out the right thing to do. Lately, I've been conceptualizing I think like even like when Chris was here, he told Stevie's like Slugger. Like I think Slugger's like the idea that it's like, yes, of course. Like I want to make Slugger. I want to do it right. I want to make sure it's done with care and at the right time. And like I've said this from the fucking moment I introduced Slugger to this audience and let alone the world. It's the long haul project. It might not be the one, and it's only been like a year if you think about it since I made that episode, maybe. It's the long haul. It's the one that we're always like, hey, like if we can get this one made, this is a vehicle film. I think this could actually be like more of a hit, like in that Friday the 13th, Terrifier, Texas Chainsaw Massacre category, right? But lately I've been thinking like, what can I make right now? What can I make right here? And I have this concept. It's a little Sinner-esque. If you've seen Sinner, you know, it's, you know, kind of based around some object. And like, that's the idea that I've been really thinking about a lot lately and how to make something like not just cheap. And by cheap, I don't mean bad. I mean low budget, micro budget with a small crew and a lot of, you know, ingenuity. And that's the type of movie I'm really trying to dial in right now to make and have something that I can just walk away with, that something I can work on every day here. I think I can shoot a movie in 5 or 6 days once I have the concept. The concept is everything. Once you have the idea, just, you know, hit the ground running, shoot until it makes sense, and I can edit it. And like, I'm not on a studio dime. I'm on my dime, my time. And right now I have time. That's my greatest asset. And I can work on this thing and I can make a fucking movie. And I know we can do it relatively quick and effectively. So that's really the thing I've been thinking about a lot this week. Steve and I've been taking walks, kind of shooting this idea back and forth and trying to nail it. And I've had a lot of ideas. I don't even want to disclose anything. So I'm not going to actually talk about the idea, but my creative process has been very open right now in terms of like actually conceptualizing. And then I've got the laptop out. I haven't written anything. And part of me is really like wanting to go with more of like outline with improv angle. But like, I know I say that you always write a script. And then if you deviate, like it's just, you know, it depends on what it is. Like for Slugger, I'd probably want to stick more to the script in terms of like the story, right? And like certain plot beats. For this idea that I have right now, I think the actors could bring a lot to it. I think improv would be almost like mandatory. But anyways, I digress. That's just my 2 cents on that. But yes, I've been thinking about that. Been enjoying movies and just trying to like get inspired by shit. Even watching, I watched a few movies this week. I watched Disclosure Day, which we'll get into that, but whew, I mean, it was not good. Right off the bat. And then I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I literally had it on before I started this pod, but I watched it the other day and like it's just like I think like looking back at that movie now is definitely one of Tarantino's best. But we'll get into that. So let me look at my notes here. Disclosure Day is the next thing on the list. So been good moving in, been having a great time living here. The amenities are great. Been exploring like the Fort trails. I found out I have this huge loop. I went up to this like Mud Hen Lake. Uh, it's a great fucking walk from where I'm at. And yeah, I've been just like exploring. So that's like the other thing I've been doing outside of everything else has been like just exploring the fucking countryside behind me and just trying to, you know, get out, be active and have fun. On the film front, in terms of like what I watched this week, I did watch, like I said, a few movies, Disclosure Day and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And we'll start with Disclosure Day. Disclosure Day was let's say this. It's written by Steven Spielberg and David Koepp. Steven Spielberg film is starring Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor. If you don't know Josh O'Connor, I know him from Knives Out 3. He's an interesting actor. I don't know why they're trying to push him as a star, but he's not bad. It's just interesting. He's not a first choice. I also, Stevie and I mentioned he looks like the Linguini guy from Ratatouille. And like, we were like straight up like, fucking like, how has this not been made in a live action? We Googled it. He literally wants to play that guy in a live action film. And like, he knows that he looks like him. Like, so his self-awareness is high. I respect that at least. Colin Firth was also in it. Eve Hewson, um, Hewson rather. Eve Hewson, I believe, is Bono's daughter, which was interesting because she looks very Irish, but she's actually pretty good at acting. I won't critique the actor so much as the actual film for why I don't like this movie. Coleman Domingo as Hugo Wakefield. Dude, Coleman Domingo, after fucking Joe Jackson, he's minted. Like he's legendary status at this point in Hollywood. And Wyatt Russell as Jackson. Wyatt Russell being Kurt Russell's son, extremely great actor. All right, so Disclosure Day. They sold this movie as an alien movie. Sure, there are some aliens in it, and I'm not going to spoil it because there's really not much to fucking spoil, but like, yeah, the movie's about some guy who steals a bunch of fucking alien files, kind of like what the White House is doing right now, and he plans on disclosing it to the world, right, to let them know. And there's this weird storyline with him and then Emily Blunt, who's like a fucking meteorologist, weather lady, and how they're the only two people in the world that can understand this alien language or some shit, and like they're the people that were always meant to disclose these files. Even I'm having a hard time describing it. The idea was fucking horrible. Like, what? Yeah, let's just say this: the trailer looked good. I was like, "Fuck, Disclosure Day. This looks good." The movie had this weird plot, lots of the same scenes over and over again. It was a man on the run, just shit show. I don't usually bash a movie this bad, but this movie really fucking sucked. It wasted my time. It also wasted my money, which is less of a concern as much as the time. But like, holy fuck! It took us 2 nights to watch this movie because we were just so like we paused it halfway through. I'm like, dude, I can't believe it's only an hour. That's a terrible thing to say. Like we watched Wolf of Wall Street. It's like almost 3 hours long. That shit flies by. You're literally like, oh, fucking, we're here. I can't believe the movie's almost over. This movie is literally like, I can't believe it's still fucking going. Um, yeah, Emily Blunt and this Josh O'Connor character, whatever, they try to fucking meet up and like end up going to this base with all these people, and like it's all about their childhood. They had this experience that like these animals came to their like fucking window or something. It just, like I said, I'm having a hard time even explaining it. And then at the end or whatever, not to ruin it, cover your fucking ears if you don't want to hear it, but like somehow towards the end, they end up like going on national television, and like Emily Blunt starts telling people she's disclosing, and it cuts to some other reporter for like the last 10 minutes of the movie watching the like footage of like aliens basically have been here and that they've met with our leadership and that we've tortured them in experience and experiments and stuff. And like I said, what commentary are we trying to make here? There's no like nothing even real world I can fucking like relate it to, other than like government bad treats people bad, even people from fucking other planet. And it's like it's reaching. But then the aliens are cool with us and they want this disclosed. Now we can have peace and harmony. I really didn't fucking get what Spielberg wanted to do with this movie. Also, like so much of the shit that they try to like make profound, it's just shit that it's not that profound these days. I think most people believe in aliens, and most people wouldn't be shocked if there were extraterrestrials or like life from other planets. Maybe they'd be a little bit more shocked if they knew it was here already. But like, even if they arrived, like how people would, they've seen it all. Like, I think people have been shocked. But every fucking, media cycle in the past like 24 to fucking 36 months was just shock. Like every fucking day, someone getting shot at, something getting blown up, some scandal in the fucking news, some fraud, whatever. People aren't shocked anymore. Yeah, I fucking can't believe that. It's more like I believe that shit. An alien pops up and Trump shaking its hand. People are like, yeah, I believe that. They're not going to be as fucking shocked as they were, in the past. Definitely not before the internet, and definitely not now. Where like I said this earlier in the year, and like it was partially because I knew Disclosure Day was coming out, as well as like Age of Disclosure, which is a much better movie if you watch it. But like aliens are hot right now. I think people more than ever believe in this narrative, or at least the idea that like it would be ignorant to think in this vast universe that we're the only thing out here, And yeah, people I think are just a lot smarter and a lot more informed, and they don't doubt it. Spielberg in this movie is trying to make it seem like the idea that aliens even like was a real genuine possibility that was just fucking like earth shattering. And it's like, it is like earth shattering for sure. I think, people would have like an adjustment period for sure if they knew there's other life, but like not in the same way they would have in the past. And also you try to do this through line with one of the characters, the Bono's daughter character, Jane, where she was like a nun, but she left the church, but then like her religious, like, because the big thing he tried to say is like the religions of the world would be so greatly upset by this. I'm like, I just like don't think people would. People are going to believe what they want to believe anyways. If an alien shows up, it's not going to, what makes the alien so supreme, like over like a godlike figure or creator? Who's to say? And this is kind of what the message they try to say in the movie, which I've heard many people discuss this on other pods and like fucking other alien lore. What if their supreme beings are bigger than God? Or it's like, what if God created these aliens too? What then, So it's just funny to see somebody who, has been into aliens their whole life, Spielberg in their 80s and the screenwriter probably in his 60s, write this, but not really understanding how much people already know. It was, like I said, it was not as profound as they thought it was, and it certainly wasn't as groundbreaking or earth-shattering as they thought it was. So, yeah, Disclosure Day, if I had to give it a rating, I give it like a 1 out of 10. Like, dude, don't waste your time watching it. If it's on for free, maybe if you're curious, but like, I didn't get anything from it. Also, there was like some scenes that were just pure fucking nonsense. There's a scene where Emily Blunt is like told by the Coleman Domingo character, like, break her phone. And she throws her phone out the window. It doesn't break. She's like, hold on, back over the phone. The guy tries to back over it and he misses. And then she gets out and like puts the phone on. I was like, Any other good movie would have shown the phone hit the ground, shatter, and it's over. Or they back over the phone, they pull off. There was no it was like, what is this scene? You want to spend 3 minutes on her breaking the phone? It just was like either reaching for minutes or just bad directing, bad writing. It just didn't make sense. Was it to show her character was incompetent at breaking a phone? I'm not quite fucking sure. But anyways, the movie, in my opinion, was a bomb. You know, and it's funny. I think we're in a change of hands in Hollywood as it is with the buyouts with Paramount and Warner's, and it's just funny to see like the old dogs kind of get old. Francis Ford Coppola self-financed that Megapolis movie, I think 120 mil, and it just was a complete bomb. And now Spielberg with this, I don't know how much they spent on it, probably $100 million, and it's just another bomb. It's just like fuck, like these guys are like, there's no taking it away from them that they're the top talent of their time, and maybe in cinema history, but like they're not going out on top. They're going out with Hindenburgs, unfortunately. And it's like, fuck, Spielberg even passed up directing that last Dial of Destiny movie. I think James Mangold directed it. He did a fantastic job on that note, but damn, like Spielberg, like, yeah, I would have rather seen his Dial of Destiny than see him make this Disclosure Day and just like crash and fucking burn. And I heard the same thing about The Fablemans. I didn't see it. I actually want to see it, but I heard some of his past movies have just been kind of stinkers, It's not a position I think any director wants to be in. Anyways, I digress. I kind of talked about this a little bit before, but the last movie I watched was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019, directed by Quentin Tarantino, director of photography Robert Richardson. If you haven't seen it, I mean, it'd be a surprise to me, but Leo DiCaprio as Rick Dalton, Brad Pitt as Cliff Booth, Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate, Al Pacino as Marvin Schwartz, yada, 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 right? There's a ton of stars in this fucking movie. Sydney Sweeney, Margaret Qualley, Harley Quinn Smith. Every fucking person in the world is in this movie. Lena Dunham, like, where you can fucking think of somebody being in it, they're in it. Timothy Olyphant, endless cameos. Tarantino, one thing he does is he brings out the town. Everybody wants to be in his movies, but I'll keep it short on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We were watching it the other day. I threw it on casually, and Christine, Stevie, and I were watching it, and like, it's just aged well. Maybe one of Tarantino's, dare I say, his best movie. I think it kind of comes down to Bastards. Some will say Django. I think Django's fantastic, and perhaps Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But Bastards and Once Upon a Time, I think that's his finest work. I love The Hateful Eight personally. I know a lot of people critique it. They're like, it's like a one room like play. I don't think so. I think it's like extremely fucking well written in dialogue that is just so realistic. And yes, it's larger than life, but it's realistic in the sense of like he shapes this and crafts this moment so well with just his words. Walton Goggins' performance in that movie is incredible. I don't know. I'd say anything he did post Bastards is probably his finest work. Once Upon a Time, though, in particular, just real good period piece, really well done, very lived in. I know there's that new Cliff Booth series coming out with Fincher helming as director and Brad being in the film as Cliff Booth reprising his role, but we'll see what happens with that. That looks really really interesting. I know there's also some actors in it that were like in Anora. I know Karen Colgan's going to be in it. It'll be cool. But this movie, like the characters were so rich and so good, and like the aesthetic was so good, the humor was so good. Like he really knocked it out of the park. And I'm curious to see what Tarantino does next. I wouldn't even mind if he stayed in this part of time. Like I know he says he's only going to make 10 movies as well, but it's like, really, dude, like give the world your gift while you have it. You don't need to. He likes to make something precise and he does his thing, but holy shit, like I could use a couple Once Upon a Time in Hollywoods in my life, to say the least. And yeah, he really nailed the time. He really nailed the vibe. There's some like egregious scenes too, like where Cliff Booth is driving back from Rick Dalton's house in the hills. I think he's driving to Panorama City, and it's just like he recreates this period of time, not only the aesthetic of LA during that time, but like this just casualness of like just how fucking cool it was to drive home listening to some tunes in 1969. And you feel like you're there. And like it's like most movies, that scene would be 2 seconds. He is like, I'm gonna make a 5 minute scene or a 4 minute scene of Cliff Booth driving home, or I'm gonna do this or that and show the moment. In especially, another scene that's similar is when he's showing Leo doing his acting during the Western show that he's been cast on as a heavy. He really like lets you see the moment of like what it would be like to be the actor. He's just a master, absolute master. Or even Rick Dalton on the roof of the house, fixing the antenna. He just gives you these moments that like most movies, I feel like the problem with like most mainstream cinema is that they just give you the story and it's just like, here's the next thing, here's the next thing. Tarantino's crafting a moment. He's like, here, why don't you just live with the character for a second? Why don't you just see like I think in that scene too, Cliff Booth is fixing the antenna. He sees something and he has a flashback to like the Bruce Lee incident where he like fights Bruce Lee and gets kicked off a set and he kind of like snaps back to him fixing the antenna. He goes, yeah, yeah, I deserve that. Like it's so true. Sometimes you're working on something so passive and mundane as like fixing an antenna or like a screen door. Your mind wanders to something that maybe you felt like was a mistake or like your subconscious or something you maybe not even remorseful, but you're just thinking about surfaces and you're like, yeah, like, you know, and that I think is like masterful filmmaking because he's able to get you inside the head of the character without even having to explain it. Also there's a scene where Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate is just going to the movies, hanging out by herself, and like those beats were so like I said, no one else could get away with it. Maybe that's the thing too, is Quentin Tarantino has legacy. So like he's allowed to do these things that other filmmakers, they'd be like, hey, we're not putting that in the budget to make this fucking scene of her just walking to the theater and telling him all these like little details about herself, how she's in the Valley of the Dolls and this and that. It's just real good filmmaking, period. And beautifully shot. Robert Richardson shot the fuck out of this movie. The color is insane. I literally, like I said, I watched it maybe 4 days ago and then I just threw it on this evening because I was watching this fucking Charles Manson documentary, actually. Chaos on Netflix. It was pretty good. And I was like, fuck it. That's kind of incorporated into the story. I was like, I'll just watch this again. And yeah, it's one of those movies that feels like a summer day. And fuck, if you haven't seen it in a bit, throw it on. It's a perfect way to end your day or even just like have on like, just, in this time of the year. It feels like it fits. It'd be like watching a horror movie in fucking October, if that makes sense. But anyways, been thinking a lot about the next thing. Been hosting a lot, so I've been a little distracted, I won't lie, but wanted to crack out a pod, let everybody know what's going on, update everybody. Like I said, I saw a lot of people. I'm feeling a lot of momentum right now with getting back to work and like being finally settled in. So that's good. The energy's there. I would do, for the record, a filmmaker mindset, and maybe I can pull one up on my phone. I just fucking forgot to grab the book, and now I'm out here and I'm too far from it to grab. So let me type in the fucking, it's the good thing about the phone, right? We have the actual book here, digitalized. This is perfect. This one literally is the first one I clicked in my files. Kind of fits today's pod or this, episode's pod. I build my network through creation, not small talk. I love that. What I have made has been so much more important than maybe just the small talk conversations I've had. I've talked like with a ton of fucking people about making movies all throughout my life, and very few have I made a movie with. But when I went out and I made a movie on my own with Stevie and Christine and all the other people involved, too many to name, but thank you. That's where I built my network. While I was making the movie, I even told Stevie and Christine, I'm like, once we start making another movie, we're gonna meet so many fucking people. It's what happened last time. I met people I would have never fucking met. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but like the movie brings people together. You will meet people, new doors will open. Action is everything. I talk about that all the time, but like through action, the doors will open. And I build my network through creation, not small talk. Just to repeat it again, the small talk is what happens after. Even when I was talking with Chris Cerney when he was here, I said like, hey, like, we made our movie, you're doing this reporting thing. He's still interested in filmmaking, for the record, but like, it's like, dude, your action has led you here. My action has led me there, and Stevie or whoever else, we've all compiled this like efforts, and everybody who's putting action forward are the people that end up, being in that position to like create more and more, because it opens the door to like consistently creating. Small talk is fine. And I think what I mean by this quote more so is that small talk is not as powerful as action. Action's what matters. People going out and doing their independent journalism, or if you wanted to be a baker, going out and baking even at your house and then being like, hey, do you like it? Like, keep trying, creating action. For me, it was making a movie. And I even think like making the next movie, like creating, will just continue to build the network. I will continue to meet people. Even when I was in LA, I finally had the movie done so I could go to people and be like, hey, like, we should connect. I've made a movie. I plan on making more. Let me get your contact info or whatever. And people are reciprocating to that. So if I had to say anything, I'd say just build your network through creation. But really, that is saying like, don't just talk about it. Just go out and do it. Like Nike, just do it. Fucking take action. Take life into your own hands. And especially when it comes to creation, you want to write a fucking book, start writing. You might suck at first, but you won't know until you do, and then you can improve from there. Um, I've told this many times on here. I always tell this fucking story when I think of like small talk versus creation, but it's the J.J. Abrams story. J.J. Abrams said he was in college. He would write all day, write all week. Then he'd go out to the bar, maybe like, every couple weeks he'd go in and he'd meet his friends and they'd be like, hey, dude, like, I can't wait to be a writer. Like, I'm going to be the hottest shit. Da, da, da. And he'd be like, wow, like, well, you're always here at this fucking bar. Like, I haven't seen you writing very much. Not in like a spiteful way. And he'd go home and he would write and then he'd go back to the bar and somebody'd be like, yeah, I can't wait to get started on my thing. And he's just like, well, I just like written like a couple scripts. Like, you guys haven't even gotten started. And he realized like those people were not going to be the ones that do it because they're just talking about doing it versus actually doing it. And it's what it comes down to, all action. So if you want things to happen, go out, create, and fucking get to work. Take some action. Anyways, I'll leave you with that, guys. Yeah, it's been a good almost month here at the new place. A lot of creative juices are flowing. I actually got my studio set up too in my room. So like I'm ready to fucking rock and roll. Like I'd say this, like I'm built up creatively and it's time to, let it all out. Anyways, like I said, I'll leave you with that, guys. I'm Devin Thomas. This is another episode of Unscripted. I'll talk to you all next week.